Welcome to The Superhero in You. Some powers are birthed out of tragedy. This is one of the newest shows on the Go Radio station, powering the voice of community and change. We are excited to see and hear all of you all on today, get feedback from you as well. Unbelievable. I'm looking forward to this. And I have one of the, I believe, is a superhero in the studio with me on today. Richard Nix. What's up, Rich?
What's up, yo? How you feeling?
Hey, I'm good.
Good.
So good to see you.
Likewise.
He brought me some fuel for my superhero power. And you said, what could that possibly be? It came in the form of fried pickles and some chicken fingers. And it was delicious. And I so appreciate him. We had an opportunity to not just talk in preparation for this show, but to also break some bread. And It's always good to be in the company of someone who I love and admire so much. Again, this show, Richard, is about getting people to look different at things that they've gone through in their life. Yeah. A lot of times we want to, and it's been several months since you've had a chance to be on one of the shows, but specifically for this show, it takes a special person because sometimes people don't realize it wasn't just a test and a trial, but people don't find out till later on that it came to make them better.
Yes, I agree.
And, you were just kind of sharing and testifying how God has put you on the better side of it.
The better side.
Yeah. So, superheroes, first off, I got Spider-Man on my iPad, on my cell phone. I love, you already know this, DC, Marvel, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Aquaman, the Power Twins, all of that. I love it. I told people last week, just went and saw Transformers over the holiday. But more importantly, I just believe that when we go through some things, we don't realize how strong we are until we come out of it. I shared with them the last couple of weeks, Spider-Man got bit, but he didn't know that the bite was going to give him something that he needed, not just for himself, but for other people. And so there are some things that's happened in your life that has been transformed into these superhero powers that you didn't know you had, because you are at the point in your life now where you realize you are awesome. Yes. You realize that you are great, and you realize that you are invincible when it comes to Jesus being on the inside of you. Yes. And so this is like really hard for some people to digest because we don't celebrate ourselves and the things that we've gone through enough. We talk about them, but we don't talk about what it gave us when we came out of it. Wow. Yeah. And I think about being victorious. Yes. I see you sometimes with the red cape, and even the conference you just did, the service you did over the 2 days. You got that because you walked through something.
Yes, I had to.
And you're hungry to not just be yourself, but also give opportunities for other people to be themselves and show what God has placed inside of him. Totally. So you called me a general, but I call you the same because you got to align people to the forefront so that they can continue fighting this battle.
Yes, that's
right. So talk about, I know what superhero power is. I'm comfortable talking about it now. And I said this in one of the pieces on the previous show that I'm comfortable making the sacrifices and doing what's needed to be in the forefront so that others will have the opportunity to do what they have to do. And I always saw the superhero in you. I knew, Richard, I've never met anybody like you before in my life. And I'm not being funny. Like, you were, even when you were knocked down, you would crawl and still fight.
I still fight. Wow.
I mean, you were a little fella, like 9 years old. Yes. I've never met anybody that young that was able to fight for themselves. You were able to, your superhero power was getting people to believe in you.
Yes. Wow.
That was one of your superhero
Yes,
powers, and
yes.
you had it when you were little.
Yes, yes.
When you could get people who didn't know you. Can I stay with you?
Yes.
Do you remember Henrietta? You had just met her, man.
And I needed a place to
Do
stay.
you hear me?
Yes.
She says, yo, she said he needed somewhere. I said, Henrietta, you don't even know him. She says, but it was something about him. This is what she said to me, my friend. She says, I had to help him. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And you helped her move her stuff?
Yes.
Who does this?
She's still living, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Who does it? She's she's down south somewhere. Okay. She got married and everything. She's doing well.
I would love to tell her.
Yeah. Oh, you can tell her, and I'm going to send this to her. She's on Facebook.
Hey, Miss Henrietta, this is Richard. Love you.
So I think about, again, when you were just a little fella, and one of your superhero powers was, again, getting people to believe in you.
Yes.
The counselor at the school, Nurse Oliver. I mean, you had
I made
Miss Guy. Do you remember?
Miss Guy from Ronald McNair?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
From McNair. And I remember when I would come up to the school and check on you, and she was like, yeah, I see Richard on a regular basis. I said, do everything you can for him.
Wow.
He's one of my special ones.
Wow.
Yeah. And so there were super agents covering for you.
Yes, even then.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I just thank God, for where I'm at right now. I've never been in this place in my life.
But it took some tragedy.
Yes.
To give you the power to get here.
And one of those tragedies was realizing that I was a superhero young, but I had to go through the forces of darkness to really see the light through the tunnel. And at my conference here recently that I just had a week ago, the indication of the superhero in me was people's lives being changed and God restoring people. But most of all, my mother, a woman who just had kids but rejected, ridiculed, told me some foul things in my life. And my mother don't even mind me testifying. And to this day, we are amazing. Wow. Within the last past 5-7 years.
Wow.
Not only that, the Lord allowed her to come to be baptized through my ministry. And so I just really, really thank God for that. That even though that tragedy happened of guilt, manipulation, dropping out in school, homelessness, having to go get a GED, all Fs, to graduate with a 3.8. Sleeping in a car.
I remember you just trying to get out of high school. I remember you said, yo, I'm going, what was it, Battle Creek?
Battle Creek, yes.
You was like, yo, I remember. You was like, I got to do this because I got to do whatever I can to get out. You, wherever, and you just had the superhero power to keep fighting.
Yes.
You had the superhero power to keep taking chances until you could win.
Even the suicide.
I remember.
That was a strong one. That one was strong. I was in my friend's basement.
Wow.
In his bathroom. And I said, I'm done. Life is purposeless. I don't have no reason to live. Now, remind you, I had been in church all my life, but I was going through the struggle while in church. And God delivered me out the church in the struggle because it wasn't in the four walls. I needed to encounter Him in my private time. I'm excited, yo. I'm excited to be where I am now, and I'm not looking back. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivered them out of them all. God put generals in your life, such as you, a woman that have pushed me when you knew people was telling you, yo, don't deal with that little bitty boy. But you saw something in me, and you pushed me. And here it is, 25 years later. I'm on your show.
Always. And I think what's really necessary in this conversation, and again, this is the Superhero in You radio show. Some powers are birthed out of tragedy on the Go radio station, powering the voice of community and change. And my guest in the studio with me on today is Richard Nix. I know him as a lot of things, but I know him as a warrior. You know, Richard, I know you as somebody who, even when you were fighting for yourself, you were still fighting for your family.
Sure was.
You know, I remember when you first got in church, you were inviting all of your siblings to come to church as well. You didn't even have a way to church.
But I wanted
and you were inviting everybody to church.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, and I remember when you were leading testimony service.
Yo, really? We got to talk about that.
I love this guy. And I remember you said, yo, I don't even know these songs. And then I remember you said, but I just want the Lord to use me, so we'll do
go
it.
what we got to do with it. Right.
And you would lead testimony songs. And I remember when people would start singing a song, you'd be like, because you didn't know the words. Amen. Amen. And next, how about you?
Right.
You got a word for the Lord on today.
Right.
But just the courage. Courage, I think, is another one of your powers.
Yes.
You know, and you're willing to use it for Christ. You're willing to use it for better. And it doesn't matter if it puts you in a position of being embarrassed or shame.
No.
You know, I remember you being so hungry for the word that you just wanted to be around people who were walking with the word on the inside of them.
I was at the church 24/7.
Yeah.
365 days.
Helping in the kitchen. Wherever people would let you.
Body,
yeah, you're right.
I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to be in God's house.
Yeah, I don't know, Richard. So what would you say to people like, take tragedy and connect it to the power it gave you? Like, I remember the 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 year piece in your life.
Right.
When you were staying with a couple of the saints, and but you had the power to convince people to support you.
To support me.
Who could do this?
The courage. I think in that tragedy, yo, I knew that it was something in me that have yet been identified in myself, but I was operating out of it then, and taking those tragedies, it produced courage. The courage to say that in spite of my current condition, in spite of the non-family structure that I didn't have, in spite of the neglect, the abuse, the mental struggle, that I knew even at a young age, I didn't want to be another statistic.
Wow.
And I knew that I had to come out.
Wow.
So even when I was younger, I was fighting because I knew I had to get somewhere. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew that I was born in a situation that the enemy thought was going to keep me bound.
Yes.
But some way, some form, God allowed, because he's the hero ultimately, and some way he allowed me to be identified with him when I found my identity in him, and he allowed me to soar till now. Yo, words can explain and or express my gratitude for Christ, and then just the superhero that was in me at a young age that I didn't even know was there. So a lot of times people are great, and because somebody else is not pushing them, you have to find that self-motivation. Like you said,
that's right.
I made people like me.
You did.
Or put up with me.
I remember, yeah.
Because I knew
They'd be like, we don't have no room in our car. You'd be like, well, I'll sit on somebody's lap.
I'll sit on somebody's lap. I had to do whatever I had to do to get to where I was going.
Woo.
And now when I look back, I truly just thank God. It's not by any goodness of my own.
And I remember when you were,
like you,
oh, bless
again,
you, Richard.
You tired of me saying it. But God put people like you that can push you. Yo, there was a lot of nights where you picked
on the
me
phone.
Up, where you put money in my pocket when I didn't have food. I remember the Goodfellow boxes you made sure I got.
Oh, Richard.
Yes, a lot of nights. I thank God for that.
I always believed in you.
You sure did.
Yeah, and I remember when, we were writing back and forth.
Yes.
But even when you had moved to Battle Creek, you had
yep.
sent me letters, and I had responded, and I knew I couldn't do that for you. I knew I had to be willing to let you go and trust God to cover you while you were away. You remember I said you got to go that far?
You gotta go, yes.
Remember I asked that?
Yes.
And you said, yo, I got to do this.
Yes.
You said, I got to get out of here. I got to get this. I got to do whatever I can do to get closer to it.
Had to break away.
Yeah, I remember. And, you know, so one of the superhero powers, too, is sometimes you got to be willing to let something go to get more.
To get more. You sure do.
Yeah, wow, and a lot of people don't want to do that. No. You know, a lot of people don't have the courage. I remember I was talking to somebody, trying to remember who it was. And, a young lady. This was Thursday night. And I met her in Dearborn. And she asked me, she says, how do you do it? Like, how do you find the courage and the faith to do things and trust God and step out there like that? And I said, how do I not do it?
Yeah.
I said, I remember telling the Lord, I mean, you have to, part of him making you powerful and giving you the power is being willing to let he said, take up your cross and follow him. He wants us to forsake everything. Yes. And I'm being transparent. People want more, but you have to be willing to give up all. Give up something. You know, and I looked at her and I said, this isn't glamorous and it's not going to make you comfortable. I said, to be honest with you, I said, I remember in tears telling the Lord, I don't care about nothing else. I don't care about a house, a car, what people think about me. I just know I don't want to ever be without you. I don't want to ever wake up one day and not know what it's like to not be in your presence or be in fellowship with, or for you to be pleased with me. I said, I fear that more than I do anything. I said, and so long as he's pleased with me, I can do anything. That's and amazing. I don't need nothing else, you know, because none of it, he has all of this is his.
And he feels every
If I stay in him, I'll get anything I want.
Yes.
But the secret is having the courage to let it all go to get it all.
Yes.
You want all of him? You got to be willing to let it all go. Because people, they'll let you down, man.
Don't I know?
People will disappoint you. You know, people will take your power and use it and leave you laying down with your cape and you don't have nothing. So if you ain't doing none of this for him, the payoff is less when you're just doing it for people.
Yes, ma'am.
The song, and I've always, in the back of my mind, this has always been the driving force, you know, like people had that, their dope, that junk, the thing to keep them going. Remember only what you do, for Christ will last. Remember only what you do, for Christ will last. Only what you do for him will be counted in the end. Only what you do for Christ will last. You could do everything for everybody.
Yes.
But if it's for the wrong reason, and if it's not for him, none of it matters. And so I just remember, even when you were promoting this conference that you just finished, you were like, yo, I just want people to get saved. I want people, I want it to be a blessing to people. And you got to keep it where it's for somebody else and not for you. And I said that to other people. Heroes do for other people. They're not doing it so you can print it in the newspaper. Superman saved the day. Superman hid behind the glasses of Clark Clint. He didn't want nobody to know who he was.
And Change Ministries did that, yo. At my conference, I opened the pulpit to all ministers. I opened the program to anybody that wanted to be a part, that God laid upon my heart. It wasn't a Richards show. It wasn't about me. God said, I allow people to push you. Wow. Now it's your time to push people.
Wow.
And that's what it was about.
Wow.
Me pushing people.
I mean, what would you say to folks while we have a couple minutes before we go off the air? And again, this is the Superhero in You. On the Go Radio station, powering the voice of community and change. And my guest in the studio on today is Richard Nix, and he just has unbelievable superhero powers that you all are yet to see. All I can tell you is stay close and stay tuned, because this dude is going to be doing some great things.
I'm working on my first book. I guess I'll release it right now.
Really?
Yes. I have started working on the first copy of my
I'm
book.
so excited about that.
Yep.
It's going to change so many lives, Richard. I'm so glad you had the courage to always keep getting up. To just keep getting up. Because we going to fall down.
We are.
But just to keep getting up. And sometimes we get up and we look around and we got less than we had when we fell. But we got to be willing to keep getting up.
Keep getting up.
Over and over again. What would you say to people who might be in a situation and don't realize that it's to give them power, and they think they're just going through and it's tiresome and this is just a heavy time in their life and woe is me and it seems like everybody else doing good but me, you know, because in those situations is when power is birthed.
Right. To that individual, I would say, in that dark place, because I found out too, yo, that a lot of times we become victims to that dark place. And we allow that dark place to hold us captive. And we allow that dark place to speak to our minds, our spirits, our superhero that's really in us, telling us that we can't make it, that we can't be successful, we can't come out.
Right.
So that individual that's going through those identity crises is what I want to call it. You have to push yourself. Yo, I found a way to give birth to the superhero that was in me. I literally had to push past people telling me I was this, people telling me I wasn't going to make it, my mom, my dad, my church family, my pastors. I had to push past all negativity to get to the positivity, because I knew that when I climbed up, that cape was going to be waiting on me to fly me high. My cape fell many a time, but I got back up, put it back on, and I soared. So you got to be consistent.
Even when you don't feel like a hero.
Even when you don't feel like one.
You got to know that you won.
You got to know. Can't nobody tell you nothing. You can say what you want to say about me now. I'm on fire. And I realized that I've given birth to my superhero.
That's right.
So that others can give birth to theirs.
That's right. And if your powers don't come through, and people see that if God did it for you,
He can do it for them.
He'll use them too.
Yes.
So what superhero powers do you know that God gave you?
Courage.
The power to do what?
The power to love myself. Love myself.
Say it one more
love
time.
myself.
Love myself.
Yes.
The power to love myself in spite of.
Yes.
No, nobody else loves me.
Yes.
But I know that God loves me.
Yes.
And because of that, I can do anything.
I can do anything.
Thank you, Richard.
You are so welcome.
The superhero that's in you. Some powers are birthed out of tragedy. We can't wait to see you all next week. I can't wait to discover whatever superhero powers that are waiting to be brought to the forefront to share with everybody. Thank you for joining in with us, and we will see you soon. Remember, some powers are birthed out of tragedy. Have a great day.